doing a thing, like podcasting or something.
Yo.
How's everyone doing?
So good.
A little tired.
Just the
Tired?
best.
I can't scroll over to the right anymore on this stupid dock because of somebody didn't have to remove the borders.
You need to scroll to the right.
Yeah.
Oh, do you squish it down on your monitor? Horizontally. Checks out.
Yeah.
Checks out.
Hey, to be fair, my monitor, my screen's this big, and the text is just in a column this big in the middle of the screen. It's just lovely. It's so useful.
Super useful. Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Forecast, the bi-weekly podcast about everything games, film, and news. I'm Aaron Juno.
I'm Alex McCausland.
I'm Ben Diaz.
I'm Caleb Juno.
I am C-Swizzle Mac Daddy, also known as Chad McCausland.
And I'm Jake Better Kyle.
Man, I haven't heard that one in a while, Chad. I haven't heard it in a while.
Not what it says in
On
the
today's
script
episode,
here.
number 197, Sony does a dumb again, and this time it's a big one. Well, actually, multiple big ones. Minecraft is coming to the big screen, and Furiosa bombs at the box office. Plus, League of Legends showcases an inexpensive skin, and of course, we've been playing games. If you'd like to know more about what we do, you can follow us on our social channels. You can check out our website, WeTheHorizon.com. We have a ton of original content for you to browse through, including our multi-arc Starfinder adventure, the Discord and Signal. Additionally, everything we talk about is in our cast notes, which is pushed out to whatever podcasting app you are using. All right, let's get into it. Off the top, actually, I wanted to sort of highlight this. Chad, you've brought up Extra Life a couple times on our podcast, just kind of off the top, and I think that's really helpful, just for people who do listen or want to have something to donate to. Several of us have already been donating to our campaigns since almost the start of the year in hopes of kind of really just being able to donate more over time rather than just kind of chunk donate when 24-hour stream's happening. If you're looking for something to donate to this year and you don't have an organization, Extra Life is amazing. They work with Children's Miracle Network hospitals to, all kinds of things. Pay for equipment, pay for components that people need to just help kids who are in need or in hospitals. You can check out our Horizon Extra Life page, or you can donate to there or to any of us individually. But we would love to get donations from you for this. It is 100% goes to Extra Life, Children's Miracle Network. We don't get any of it. So just make sure you check that out. We are also going to be participating in a Extra Life United tournament this summer in July. Is it July? July 18th, maybe?
Yep.
They're doing the Extra Life United and Ignite conference here in Kansas City this year. So a group of us are going to go play some of the tournament games. There's going to be 6 or 7 games. I don't have the list up in front of me if somebody does. But each of us can participate in 4 of them, and if we get in any of the placements, top I think 8, we actually win money towards Extra Life United, or towards our fundraising goal for the year. So yeah, if nothing else, root us on. Tell us when we suck at video games if you're watching us stream, so we can get better, especially when we're playing things like Unrailed.
It helps.
Yep, very, very helpful. Chad, off the top, you got a community conversation primer for us? A little CCCP action?
Call it what it is, man. Socialism. Wait. Chad's community conversation primer. Yeah, that. So yeah, I did have somebody send in something pretty awesome. A nice little question, a nice little brain blaster, a little thing that just, kind of gets us warmed up for the podcast.
I'm listening.
We're talking Nebula Ninja sending in this question. Which form of entertainment do you find the most immersive?
Most immersive?
Not sure.
The Sphere in Las Vegas.
The Sphere.
Never been there.
What was the VR thing you guys did?
Oh, you know what? That actually is the most immersive thing I've ever done in my life.
The thing
what was
I
that
never got to
called?
do.
You gotta think of the name.
Void.
The
It was
Void.
called The Void. It was a 4D VR experience where we were sprayed with water. There was hot air blowing at one point.
I think
Pretty crazy.
I think that's pretty literal for immersive, but I think what this question is asking is more like TV, movie, video games. Which form of entertainment do you find the most immersive?
Not sure.
I was going to
in
say
that
going
context.
outside, so.
Going out, so
Yeah,
touching
I'm not
grass.
sure in that context how to define something as immersive.
Well,
It makes you feel immersed.
if you're drawn away to something else.
Like the thing that gets me most like sucked in.
Sure.
Does scrolling through YouTube Shorts count?
The first thing I think of,
No, that's not immersive.
Lord.
the first thing I think of when I hear this question is the example of Alex can watch movies that are scary, no problem, but that he cannot play video games that are scary.
I can play scary games now.
He did play Alan Wake.
It's
Making
true.
progress. So you would say video games are immersive?
I would
Like
say
that-
video games for him seem more immersive. I don't know if that's true for him, but it's from outside looking in. When it comes to that example, video games are more immersive.
I think video games by default, because they're interactive, have to be more immersive.
Yeah. Man, if it's a really good book, I get to the point where I don't really see the words anymore. And it's just kind of playing through my head as I'm reading it.
I was gonna agree. Actually, book
Like, you
I
don't
think
even-
might beat out video games for me.
You don't see the words anymore? How are you
You don't
reading
even like
them?
process the words
He
in
just
your brain.
he just
They just
makes up a
turn
story.
into the image as you're reading it.
You know
I
how
don't
when
know
you're
how to
reading
describe
and
it,
your brain
but-
just starts imagining the whole scenario as like actively happening instead of the individual words of the book? Like that's what he's saying.
Yes. Yeah.
And yes, that happens.
Sometimes I can get sucked into a really good book like that, but overall, video games.
I have
for me.
accidentally pulled all-nighters reading books on regular occasions.
Actually think I think I'm going to go against the grain here. I think that watching things, movies primarily, is the most immersive for me because it is the only thing where I have the most varied emotional response to. Video games I can be like satisfied with, angry at, maybe a few more subtle emotions here and there, but watching a movie or something, I have all of these emotions. Sometimes I feel like very anxious about the characters on the screen because I feel like I'm right there with them and they're dealing with some sort of really
Sometimes it's
crazy.
like they're in the room.
Thank you, Alex, for that good reminder. I appreciate that. I don't know why I always come back to, oh shoot, what is the name of that? Is it American Animals? Is that the name of that movie? You know the movie where they're trying to steal the stuff out of the library at their college and they have to
The Declaration
basically
of Independence.
Such a random movie for you to bring up
I
all
know
the
it
time.
is. But it's the most. I felt so much anxiety in that moment because they have to like. It's just 4 college students and they're going to steal this expensive book and go sell it. And the one hurdle they have to get past is somebody's supposed to distract the lady who's running the library. And if they can't distract her, they're supposed to essentially knock her out and tie her up. And the whole time, none of them can do it. And I'm just like, just on the edge of my freaking seat, sweating profusely. Doesn't it ever get that way?
I get hot when I play Meepo, let me tell you.
Oh my gosh.
Jesus Christ.
Man, when I'm watching YouTube Shorts, edge of my seat.
Oh yeah.
That's almost that's like the opposite because you just turn your brain off and you're just like scrolling.
Yeah. Turn your brain on when you're like, I need to share this with somebody. Cut. The other night when we were playing Destiny, there was something that I think a knight shot a rocket at me or something, and I literally dodged in real life. So video games for me, very immersive. I turn my brain off for movies and TV shows for the most part. It's just kind of like I just veg and sit and just whatever.
Just absorb it.
Yeah.
Can't do it. Gotta be
I think
immersed.
it depends on the show though. Like
Yeah, definitely.
Like Better Call Saul, man.
I mean, I feel like it's weird to call movies immersive because I always feel like there's always this kind of you're not in the movie. You know what I mean? You're not immersed in it. It's not like, oh man, how am I gonna get past this obstacle? It's like, oh man, what are they gonna do? I don't know. You know what I mean?
Guess I'll find out.
Yeah, right. There's no no agency. I suppose
There is no agency. That is true. But for some reason, I feel very tied in with the characters. I feel like I'm dealing with the same emotion they are in that moment somehow.
On that point, I've never been immersed in one of the Choose Your Own Adventure books, but regular novels I have been.
That's good to know.
Wow, that's true. Yeah, reading like Goosebumps, Choose Your Own Ending.
Yeah, like
not really
I don't get
immersive.
immersed in those.
Primarily
books.
because all your fingers are stuck in the book in different places, so you can take yourself
just
back.
dive everywhere.
That's funny.
Man, who sent that question in?
Nebula Ninja.
Nebula Ninja. Okay, good question. Good question. This is tough. That's been CCCP. Thank you, Chad. I appreciate that. Thanks, Nebula Ninja, for submitting the question. Let's move on to some news-related things. Right off the top, most important, this is huge news for us because I know how much we all love building blocks, playing Minecraft. Guys, Netflix, Minecraft, they're coming to
finally.
Thing. Are you
okay? But this could actually be kind of cool.
Could it?
I don't know, man. Minecraft animated series. It has a story. Like,
I thought it was live action.
Is it live action?
No, animated.
It is
Netflix has announced they're doing a Minecraft animated series. I just thought it was interesting to throw in here because it seems like video game adaptations are kind of picking up steam with like Arcane and The Last of Us, and some of the stuff that's always had video Castlevania. Games. Yeah, true. Thanks for that. But Minecraft's like one of the biggest like properties, like media properties in general. So I could see this being like explosive.
Oh, it'll be big, regardless of whether or not it's good or bad.
That's true.
I'm just thinking about Minecraft, because of how big it's always been, there's been YouTubers that have done like animated shorts and stuff like that with it. And if they could capture that kind of magic that a YouTuber can make. And honestly, Netflix has been pretty on point with their game adaptations lately. So maybe, perhaps,
maybe,
possibly.
Do you think they're going to get Andy Serkis to motion cap creepers just to get just for reference?
Probably.
Just so they can get the motion down when they're animating. I need to see what that looks like motion capped. Okay,
do you think they're going to get Chris Pratt to voice? Actually, I guess just who are they going to get Chris Pratt to voice?
Yeah.
Because it's got to be
he'll definitely be in it, yeah.
Well, Alan Tudyk's going to be in it because there's just too many animals for him to not be in it.
That's true.
He's just going to play a sheep.
Chris Pratt and Tom Holland are probably definitely in it.
Makes sense.
Oh, man. I do kind of agree with the fact that this is like such a big universe and has such a big following that it will be huge whether or not it is good. Kind of like the Mario movie where, they still made a ton of money, even though everybody was really upset in the beginning about Chris Pratt being the voice of Mario. They'll do really well.
Yeah.
I need them to contract Tobuscus into making the music for this. He already has the safety torch, so.
Oh man, I have not heard about that guy in a long time.
So long, man.
Not since all the
Canceled.
accusations.
Yeah, okay.
He had a
Did he get
lot of
canceled?
issues.
I think he got
had
canceled.
a lot of
That's
not
probably why
so
I haven't
great
heard much
accusations
about
being thrown around.
Yikes.
Allegedly.
Man, something to do with the sideburns, huh?
I guess.
In other game news, also League of Legends has had a rather, we'll call it an inexpensive skin that they've recently announced. And all of you
I
who
paid this
play
amount this week, pretty much.
Just even the ones who are playing ARAM, you guys are all picking up this skin, right?
Oh,
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
Have you
I already
guys heard
it.
Have you guys heard about how much this thing costs? Yeah. Oh,
have I?
accidentally-
I don't.
This is the first time Ben's ever seen the forecast notes.
I must have missed it. I also put it in the forecast notes in a different section
did you?
for the same
Yeah.
thing. So I thought Aaron was just bringing up my topic, and I went, "Oh, okay."
no. Sorry. Yeah. It's a $500 League of Legends skin, essentially.
It's worth pointing out there's different tiers of the skin, and the top tier is $500.
True. So the low tier is $40.
But you know,
$30 for one skin.
You're
Cheap.
not going to get the emote if you don't pay the 500.
There's also a mid tier that costs $300. So if you're like, I can't spend $500, but
Yeah, that's
$300
ridiculous.
for this skin, I'll do that.
I really would like to see purchase volume for this, so you can see all three of those tiers and just get a sense of how many people actually bought the mid tier.
I feel like the mid tier's got to be the one no one buys.
Right,
Like,
right?
Yeah,
Why
if
does
you're
it
gonna
exist?
spend
If you're going to spend
300, you might as well.
500.
Do you think that's
Like, what
why
are you
they have
doing?
the mid tier though? It's like it's psychological. They're like, all right, if we get something in the middle here,
Maybe.
they'll be like, I can maybe justify 300. That's like the price of a cheap console, cheapish.
But at that point, you might as well just buy the 500.
Might as well just it's an extra $200.
That's not
like
even one
40
full console.
$40. Like, full video game or you know, skin?
I just tangentially to what you just said, Aaron. Am I the only person who just in my everyday life with bills and expenses, I think of everything in amount of consoles purchased?
You do that?
Literally, anytime I have to spend like $300, I'm like, oh, I could have bought an Xbox.
Yeah.
Like, again.
Wow.
The skin's also
old Xbox.
No, the classic is how many cups of coffee does it cost? That's the way you do it for millennials.
Oh my gosh, that's a lot of cups of coffee.
I just measure it in avocado toasts.
Yeah.
It really depends on who's buying the coffee. Because let me tell you, I have in fact picked up $10 cups of coffee from Starbucks before.
I mean, that's still 50 coffees. That's a lot of coffees.
Yeah. And the roastery, man, they're going crazy with their prices. Yep. Anyway, this $500 skin, it's in collaboration with Faker, famous League player. They're inducting him into like some Hall of Fame for League players, I guess, that they're starting.
Whatever.
And
is he going to be the only one in it? Because he's
like the first
player
one. Yeah.
Of all time.
He's the first and only now. So, and they'll just continue it, I guess. I don't know. But to commemorate that, they got this insanely expensive skin pack. And I think he gets like 30% of everything that goes towards this just in his pocket.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it's pretty all right.
It's pretty good.
Man, he's been in the like world's animatic for like the past
I feel like if you
5 years,
I feel like you
that.
could make a pretty strong argument for Faker being the most famous League of Legends player.
Oh, yeah, absolutely is.
Easily.
I don't even think there is an argument.
I don't even know who second would be.
Yeah, he's the only pro League player I know. Like by
same.
Name. By name, Faker.
Yep.
That's his name.
The effects on the skin are pretty cool. I mean, not $500 cool by any means, but
like $300 cool?
No, not even close. But it's got like a silhouette of him doing his like face thing in the background when you like kill somebody, or it's like an emote. And then when you take a tower down, it circles a tower and then signs Faker's name under it on the map. So cool.
That's fun.
That is cool.
It's cool ideas, but man, it's so expensive. The thing that I keep on thinking about is like they must have done analysis on this and been like, enough people are going to buy this that it'll be worth the negative press,
right,
for trying to sell a $500 skin.
Okay,
that's the crazy thing to me.
I don't even think they thought that way, Alex. We're talking Riot Games.
Yeah,
they don't care about negative press when it comes to cosmetics. They're just thinking $500 skin. People could buy it if they want. They don't. Whatever.
I'm pretty sure they didn't care about the negative press relating to the sexual harassment lawsuits they were dealing with. So, I mean, they probably don't care about an expensive skin.
I mean, they probably care about that. They just didn't, individuals.
Not enough to do anything about it.
Yeah, they can't do anything. But this is like a company decision. They didn't like decide as a company like we should make everybody sexually harass people.
Sexual harassment.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, weird company.
But yeah, I just want to know how many whales they got. They probably got so many.
Many.
That's crazy.
Well, I don't think there's a whale champion yet.
Again, Riot Games. Yes, there's a ton of whales.
So no one's bought this skin yet? Just to confirm on our podcast.
No.
I really thought.
I mean, not
someone
yet.
did.
I don't think I've ever bought an Overwatch skin. Why would I buy a League skin?
Have you bought a Dota skin?
Of course, be purchasing it.
Yeah, Alex, who's never played League.
I don't know.
Gonna install League just to buy it.
I'll only play ARAM, and if I don't get Ari, I'll just leave and re-queue.
That sounds about right.
So once you do get Ari and then you die, this isn't.
Have you guys thought about like the consequences of having this purchased and playing with it in game? Like everybody else in the match is just gonna flame you the entire time.
Oh yeah.
People will probably purposely go and kill you over and over again just because they're like, "You stupid! You spent $500 on a skin."
I don't think you understand how toxic League is.
If you don't buy the skin, they will do the same thing to you.
Yeah.
Like
that
if
happens
you play
already.
League, they're just gonna do that to you.
Yeah, if you're playing League, that happens.
Gaming culture is bad like that. A while ago, /spit from World of Warcraft was removed as soon as they put their first cosmetic item that was purchasable into the shop because everybody was /spitting on people who bought the skin.
Man,
That's pretty funny though.
I just think about this in terms of like I know you kind of described some of the cosmetic details, but how does it compare, for instance, to an Arcana from Dota in terms of quality of just both like the aesthetic and the changes to the character model and design?
I don't know enough about League characters.
I mean, it's pretty similar. They change skill effects and things.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's $35. Got it.
The $40 one, I don't think has all those. You can need a $300 one for that.
Wow.
There are other skins in League that do that already, that are not $40.
Are they like Arcana?
Like yeah, they're called like
tier
mythic skins or something.
Okay.
Yeah, but you can just
know how much
randomly get them
usually.
I don't know. I think they're usually 20. I think that's like the top tier.
Okay.
Right. So like the legendary skins.
Yeah, I'm thinking like Pulsefire Ezreal was the only one they had for a very long time, and I think it was 20.
Yeah.
He was like the top tier expensive skin.
Mm-hmm. With all custom effects work. It's a cool skin.
And now we're at 500. Got it. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
It's called inflation area.
Yeah. Percentage is high. All right, Jake, I don't even know how to intro this next segment here, so I'm just going to...
You can just read it.
Yeah, Eel Duckman had an interview fiasco.
Yeah, famous video game guy, Eel Duckman. But actually, Neil Druckmann of Naughty Dog, he did an interview with Sony, and they posted it, and Neil Druckmann had to go online and be like, I didn't say that. He caught some flack for just some of the things he had said. And so he had to basically go out and say like, yeah, they made it up. The quote that I found kind of easiest to explain, the interview that they posted said that he said his next game would redefine mainstream perceptions of gaming, which is a very douchey thing to say.
Yeah.
And kind of like, obviously you're blowing smoke up your own ass, you know what I mean? Like you're very full of yourself. But what he actually said, he talked about how he liked how the shows, like the TV shows The Last of Us and Fallout, have introduced this concept of gaming being a more story-heavy medium to mainstream audiences, and he was interested to see how they would react to his next project.
What a way to twist those words.
Yeah.
It's really not even similar. Like, you can see the words they thought they were translating, but it's really not similar at all.
Yeah.
So Sony has since taken down the interview. If you try to access it, there's just a page that's like, we kind of messed this one up. We made up a bunch of shit that he said. It's wild to me that something like that can still happen without being malicious about it. You know what I mean? Like, to just accidentally fuck up an interview so bad. I don't know, I think that's crazy.
Frickin' Sony.
Yeah, right, of course. If it was going to be anyone, it would be Sony.
Yeah, actually, I'm gonna move this thing from the last piece of our news down below the next thing we're about to talk about. Since we're already talking about Sony screwing up, we should talk about the biggest mistake they've made in 2024 so far. I mean, there's still a lot of the year to go, so we could mess this up more. But
Helldivers?
That probably is now the second big. Well, I don't know. Actually, I don't actually know what is worse. Anyway, point is, Alex, you want to talk about the final shape and Sony and what's going on with Destiny?
I mean, the crux of it is somehow Sony accidentally pushed live on their streaming platform the final shape, which is Destiny's big finale expansion that's coming out next week. They pushed it live today, and it was up for like 5 hours, and pretty much full spoilers are out there now.
That's a long time.
That's the entire campaign.
Like, full spoilers are out. People are like upset because like raid mechanics and stuff like that are out there. So like the raid race is pretty much
it's just ruined, huh?
Ruined now, yeah.
That sucks. People loved that shit, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Wait, so the mechanics were just data mined, or
I don't know how that happened.
Because I heard that they couldn't get into the raid.
So
Because the raid's not supposed to be available for at least a week after launch, right? Maybe 2 weeks.
This one's coming out like 3 days after launch for some reason.
3 days. Okay.
Sure, there's still that time gate though. Even if it goes live, like there's no way to get into raid until they like.
I don't know if they data mined somehow or or
I don't even want to
but
Google this to confirm.
yeah, I've kind of avoided most information besides.
Would you guys like me to Google
bullet
it to
points.
confirm? Since I don't give a shit.
You're gonna start reading stuff out loud.
Yeah, then Google it and then read everything out loud. That's perfect.
Yes.
But like full story spoilers and all that kind of stuff is
Oh my
live,
god,
so.
Kramer's the big bad.
Wow.
Really? The final shape is Kramer.
I mean, how crazy that it's this expansion, like a 15-year culmination of an arc of 2 video games, and we're a week out, and they left it up for 5 hours so that everything is spoiled at this point.
They should have done this with the last expansion.
I was
everybody knew not
just
to buy
about to
it.
say that. Yeah. Do it for Lightfall.
It wasn't that bad. It was bad.
pretty bad.
It was like probably near the lowest of the expansions, but still, I think it was still, it was okay.
It's not as bad as what was the Forsaken? Was that the really bad? No.
I think a lot of Lightfall was like fun to play, and Strand is really cool, but the story is like just nothing. Like what?
Yeah,
they just don't explain huge key concepts of like they just talk about the veil the entire time and never tell you what it is.
The veil.
Never.
Like what is
and
that?
The radio mast.
Do that.
Radio mast. Thank you.
Radio
mast.
What is it? Nobody knows.
Nobody knows.
We won't know though. They just came out with some terms to where they could just add filler
Makes
to
sense.
keep us happy until the final shape.
It existed, but they pre-vaulted that content before the expansion came out.
Yeah,
That's smart.
It.
that makes sense.
Yeah, and catch that early.
Side note, they put up like launch trailers and stuff like that, and Zavala's new voice is in there.
Oh,
It's pretty good.
do you know who it is?
It's Keith David.
Oh, yeah. I bet that's great.
He does a good like imitation Zavala situation. So
Good to know. Did it turn out that other component I was talking about was actually not true? The Elden Ring stuff?
yeah, that
Okay.
it was reported a bunch of places, and then also people were like, actually, I think this was fake. Somebody's trying to spread fake news
Just
now.
add extra fake news on top of it. Got
Yeah.
it. Yeah, cool. Either way, Sony, get your freaking crap together. You're a huge company.
They've never done this before. Cut them some slack.
First time. I guess as on the positive side for Sony, over half of their user base is now on PS5. It's only taken, I don't know, how many years since the PS5 launched for it to overtake the PS4?
It's honestly surprising.
It's almost like they shouldn't have done so many of like, oh, we're coming out with a PS4 and PS5 version of this game. Like, no, just do PS5. Like, make people buy the next console. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I mean they got screwed over with the whole like what's the word I'm looking for? Supply chain issues, right?
Yeah.
Where it was just really hard to get a PS5 for a long time. Although now that's gone, so that excuse doesn't work anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But like I think you're right when like Ragnarok is the big selling point, and it's like, oh, I could get that on PS4. Okay, great. That saves me a bunch of money actually.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with it as a consumer. Go for it. Yeah, it's great.
I mean, yeah, sure. Works out for us. It's a shame. It's so funny because there are rumors that they're going to do like a PlayStation 5 Pro, and it's like, for what? Like, what games? It feels like people are only just now starting to make games specifically for PS5. Like, I can't imagine.
Perfect. It's gonna be perfect for me when I want to buy a PS5.
Yeah.
Right.
I actually think these numbers are like good. Like better than expected.
You think
so?
I think it seems high.
Yeah.
If there's that
So
many.
there's a quote from this article. In a company briefing, the platform holder said that PS5 is already on the brink of surpassing revenue from PS4, and operating income is already bigger at $10 billion. In fact, the firm says that PS5 is the most profitable console generation so far.
Wow.
So that also, I read that and it made me think of a few months ago when we were talking on this podcast about how they were disappointed with PS5 sales and they were thinking about like moving on like from the life cycle of the PS5 or whatever the quote was.
Yeah.
That it might be coming to an end soon or something.
I mean,
Wild.
when you don't have enough PS5s for everybody who wants to buy a PS5, of course you're going to be disappointed in your sales volume.
Yeah, right.
But this
Well,
is
what's
just
that-
like directly contradictory, I think, to
Does that Does that mean they would move on to a PS6?
I think I've learned something.
That's not the answer, guys.
Right. I think I've learned something in 2024 with gaming, and that is there is a lot of contradiction and confusion, such as, oh, we'll put so much more money into Hi-Fi Rush, and then they close the company down. Like, what?
Yeah. It's Calvin Ball out there.
I think their earlier statement was supposed to signal like a PS5 Pro is like like the end of the PS5, the beginning of the PS5 Pro. And there's been rumors about that for forever, so
yeah. What I'm really curious about is what do you think the install base is for the PS Vita? Do you think that's like 40% of the remaining? 4? That's wow. So pessimistic.
4%.
I think people are just point in that stupid Vita.
Not 4%, just 4.
Just 4
total.
people.
4 people. Still clinging on to their Vita.
That's probably honestly right.
One of them is Tim.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
They got the PlayStation Portal now.
That thing is dumb. That is dumb.
Right.
Which you need a PlayStation to play, yeah?
Yeah.
You need not a PlayStation, you need a PS5. You need the newest thing.
And don't you have to be on local network?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it needs to be in the house with your PS5. So you need to have a PS5, but not want to hook it up to a TV.
Yeah.
So is this like a kid gets this, like their parents to buy this, and then like the console's in the family room, and the kid is supposed to be in bed, but he's under the covers playing his PlayStation?
Yes. It's gotta be you're in a situation where the TV is hotly contested.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you have enough money for a PS5, but you don't have enough money to just buy like a nice monitor.
Or just another TV.
Or another TV.
You want to be,
man, you know how expensive those are.
Really...
You're a dad that wants to be like hanging out in the living room with your kids, but they're using the TV. So you got your PlayStation Portal on the couch.
Right. And for whatever reason, the Steam Deck is just a non-starter. Don't like that. Only like Sony.
Switch.
Even
That's the real
Switch.
thing.
Hanging out in the living room, you can get a monitor that's pretty small.
That is also
no.
Like
He's also a minimalist dad.
Yeah.
There's nothing out. It's just a single couch, like a nice coffee table and the TV, and there's nothing visible anywhere.
Yeah.
The thing I really don't understand about the PlayStation Portal is you can do it on the Steam Deck. Like you can get an app to do the streaming stuff from PlayStation on the Steam Deck and just do it.
Admittedly, it's not very good. I'm sure the PlayStation Portal does higher quality. But yeah, I think it's called PlayStation Now. You can stream from your console.
The Portal is also cheaper than a Steam Deck.
Is it really?
Yeah.
A bit,
but as soon as it's outside of your front door, it's a paperweight, right? Whereas the Steam Deck continues to work and be amazing, no matter where you go.
Mm-hmm.
And has access
your
to
front
the
door.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Half the price of the least expensive Steam Deck.
Okay. How much is it? I don't actually think I know.
$200. Like $200? Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
The cheapest Steam Deck is $400. Huh.
Yep.
That was $300.
Okay. All right.
It's $300.
$349.
That's what I thought.
I do see a $351 actually now. Price drop.
It's $351. That's very specific.
Man, Sony making great decisions across the board. While we're on Sony, let's talk about the fact that Ragnarok now requires a PSN account when you're playing on PC. What is that?
Really?
What is that?
Well, they're announcing. They announced a PC port for Ragnarok because it's not out yet. And but they announced that it was going to require a PSN account when you play it, which is just great. It's super
unclear
good.
Why.
Yeah, nobody. That's kind of all they said so far. They haven't really given more details, but it's like,
just,
hey,
it's fine print at the bottom of the trailer.
Yeah, it's like, but why? Why
Like
would
Ghost
you
of
do that?
Ghost of Tsushima, they said it would only be required if you do the multiplayer.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And this doesn't have that.
I would say God of War Ragnarok famously multiplayer.
But yeah.
At least they're coming out now and saying it instead of 6 months after the game's already been played by people.
Yeah.
Everybody's bought it.
Well,
Still a questionable decision. I just don't get it. Like, sure, data, but
yeah, it seems like the negative press would outweigh. I mean, I guess I don't know what data's worth.
Yeah.
Maybe it's really lucrative and I'm an idiot, but it seems like it wouldn't be worth it.
mm-hmm.
I mean, clearly they didn't think they were going to get that much bad press from it. Because they walked it back on the Helldivers one.
I'm still wondering if they change the policy at some point. And that there's been stuff that's like in place for these launches.
They're just getting enough pushback that finally they're like, okay, we've been working on this in the back end. We've come up with some solutions. Sorry.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see.
Oh, they're going to have to do something because they're really pissing people off lately.
Because, like, does like The Last of Us on Steam require an account?
Oh.
Yeah, I actually don't think I've bought any of their PC releases, actually.
Spider-Man on PC?
Spider-Man didn't.
Yeah, I didn't think so. I don't know why this one would. It's weird.
Yeah.
The only notice on Last of Us Part 1 on Steam says this game only supports Japanese interface / voice for customers in Japan.
Dang, I wanted to play it in Japanese.
But if you look at God of War, it actually says PlayStation Network account required.
Oh.
In the same box area that the other notice was.
I mean, maybe they just figured, like, it was a recent thing where they were like, hey, we're leaving money on the table. These people aren't in our ecosystem. Get them in, sell their data. You know, some bigwig who was like, make them give us their information. And it's like, okay, yes, sir, whatever you want. And then, you know, this happens. It's like, whose idea was that? Johnson, you're fired.
Which, speaking on PlayStation's PC support, they had just had somebody big say something about how games as a service stuff is going to come day one to PC from now on, is what they're planning for.
Oh, yeah, I heard that.
But like single player stuff is still going to be like their delayed release style that they've been doing.
Interesting.
I mean, that honestly just makes sense. If you're doing live service, the more people you get in at once, the better it's going to do, the more money you get to make.
Yeah.
Kind of why Hyperscape failed.
You still want single player games to sell your console?
Did we talk about PlayStation State of Play?
Is this a Sony podcast? Like that's all we're
Apparently,
talking about?
Yeah, pretty much.
It is. It is.
State of Play happened today. It was kind of out of nowhere. It was announced yesterday.
So
what are they
was the
doing?
state? Ohio,
State of
maybe?
Play.
Bad.
No, it's bad. Yikes.
Play.
First big announcement, God of War Ragnarok's coming to PC.
What?
Turns out.
We spoiled that one a little bit.
I know, coming in September. It's actually quicker than I thought it would be. So that's
I
pretty
am
cool.
surprised. These PC ports must be doing something for them because they're committing to it. And I think it's great.
Yeah.
You know, maybe I don't have to buy a PS Pro 6, whatever.
Right. Just wait a little while and then shows up on PC. Yeah, something about the guy that said live service stuff is going to come day and date. He also said the reason why they would stagger single player stuff is because you're going to wait and play like, you know, The Last of Us Part 1 on PC and it comes out late. And then the second one's going to come out on PS5 and you're going to be like, oh, I should go buy a PS5 now. That's his strategy. I don't know if that's really how it's going to work.
Yeah, I think that doesn't pay attention to how people work.
Yeah.
If you're waiting for something that long anyway, like you're probably going to wait for the next one.
It seems to me like the logic would be, oh, it's going to come to PC. I can just wait and play it on my preferred console. I get PC's not a console, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, it seems like if someone was really interested in that franchise, they would probably just like go get it. I get that he's saying it's like an introduction.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like, that seems very optimistic. To me, at least.
That it would pull PC players over somehow. I don't know. So yeah, a couple big, I don't know about big, couple announcements from the State of Play. They showed Concord gameplay, which was a teaser that they showed last year. It is they didn't show anything about it last year. It was basically like a spaceship in hyperspace. And then now we actually know what it is, which is a hero shooter, because those are all the rage now.
Yeah, I mean, Overwatch did so good, so now it's time to capitalize.
It's like Blizzard fumbled Overwatch so bad, everybody was like, "Ooh, start development on hero shooter because they're doing it poorly."
Yeah,
we
finally,
can get in on that market.
Time to shine.
And then now they're all coming out. So, It looks pretty slick. It kind of reminds me of like I was telling Chad earlier. It kind of looks like Destiny Overwatch. Like I don't.
Weird. The art style is very Destiny,
right? It's like Guardians of the Galaxy, Destiny, like sci-fi.
Yeah.
I hope that the way that they are playing the game within the trailer is just on purpose very slow because it looks so slow.
They're for sure trying to show off like all the cool abilities you can do and stuff like that, and making sure people can read what's happening.
There's a part where in the video where the person who you're watching uses a jetpack and going up into the air and how they move forward, it seems like it's such snail's pace. Maybe it's because I don't know. It's at 47 seconds.
47 seconds.
Yeah, I feel like whenever companies put out gameplay, the people they get to play it have never held a controller before. They've never seen a video game before, and they're just like, "Oh, what do I do? Where do I go?"
Yeah,
it's very quaint.
Sounds about right.
This one's actually surprisingly not that way. I feel like they're actually shooting people. They're not just aiming somewhat near people.
Fair enough.
So there's at least that.
Man,
I would say she's floating sort of like Farrah speed. Like the fast part of Farrah is getting up and down.
Mm-hmm.
The up part is like, all right, let me look at my watch and count for 60 seconds while I go into the sky.
It's not quite that slow. I see what you mean, though. It looks deliberate, at least. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of the abilities look cool.
I just feel like if there's somebody who has, like if there's a soldier equivalent, I'm getting tracked directly out of the air with this speed.
There is a sniper that they show.
Oh yeah, getting headshot as soon as I try to take off.
For sure.
Yeah.
I think that game looks kind of cool. We'll see
how
it does.
Then it does Icarus Dash. It literally just takes warlocks.
Oh yeah, that's the other thing. Like it's first person, but any of the cool stuff you do, it pulls the camera out to third person real quick. It's unique.
Isn't that going to be really disorienting?
Yeah,
I mean, I guess
it doesn't seem like it
sometimes. Like watching art, it's not disorienting. Yeah. Okay.
Like,
all right.
Watching the trailer, it seems really smooth. I don't know.
Okay. All right.
This could be cool. Do we know if it's going to be a free to play? Probably free to play, right?
I don't know.
I feel like
if it's not free to play, it's probably going to fail.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Even Overwatch went free to play. It was like the vanguard of not being free to play.
Free to play, battle pass, cosmetics, day one, $500.
Yeah.
The end of the trailer says pre-order starting.
Maybe pre-order it for free.
No freaking way.
Maybe you can pre-order like in-game currency. I feel like that's another thing games do.
Man,
not even a joke. They do that shit. It's like,
that's
buy
ridiculous.
the premium pre-order.
Maybe. Yeah, like the Founders Edition situation.
Yeah, right,
something like that.
Yeah.
Like it's stupid, but I feel like they do it.
Maybe
it does say and get Monarch Pack, beta early access, you and 4 friends.
Okay. I mean, I guess we'll see.
If it's not free to play, that's crazy. It's dooming the game immediately in this economy.
Release is scheduled for August.
Yeah,
like this August?
Yeah.
Oh.
Do I go pay for a tank of gas or do I get Concord? You know what I mean? Like,
you can't support.
Ding.
I don't think you can support like a multiplayer only game like this with all the other options that are free to play in a paid version.
Just go play Overwatch at that point, you know? It's free.
Honestly,
like
case in point,
Lawbreakers.
even Call of Duty is going to Game Pass.
That's crazy to me.
I don't know if that's on here somewhere else in the notes, but
we should have had that somewhere.
Yep.
Oh, we talk about it here. I just segued it supernaturally.
We can touch on that later, after the state of play.
Okay.
Other cool things I saw in here, they showed Silent Hill 2 stuff, gameplay of that remake. It looks pretty cool.
Sure, we'll see.
Did they show anything about the Silent Hill 2 movie?
No.
Movie?
They showed some pretty extensive Monster Hunter Wilds gameplay. It looks pretty sick.
Why wouldn't you just say it looks pretty wild?
It looks pretty wild. There's never been mounts in the game, is my understanding, and there's mounts, and They even showed like attacking from mounts and stuff like that. It's pretty cool.
You can attack your mounts?
No.
Fucked up, man.
Well, that's probably why there's never been mounts in the games, because it's a monster hunter and you're not going to ride the monsters, you know, because you're hunting the monsters.
Ridiculous.
Marvel Rivals got another trailer, and they announced 2 more characters with.
So you go play Marvel Rivals.
And,
Case in point.
Adam Warlock, yeah. So they're doing a closed beta test in June. June, did they say? June. So I was in the closed alpha test. This is going to be the closed beta test now. So we're getting there.
So far, I've signed up for all these games and I got a single key from any of them. So that's cool, I guess.
The incredibly cool thing that was at the end of this presentation that I did not see coming out of anywhere is they're doing like a full-scale Astrobot game.
Oh, yeah.
And it looks so cool. It looks so delightful.
Actually, I really liked the little...
Right?
I don't know if you'd call it a demo. It wasn't really a demo because there was no full game, but...
Astro's Playroom?
Yes, Astro's Playroom. It was like a little tech demo that came with the PS5. It was really fun. I really loved that. I'd be really excited for a full game.
Yeah. So that was sick. And then the whole trailer, it puts a big smile on your face. It's just very charming. It looks like there's a bunch of stuff in this game. Like maybe they'll start competing with like Mario in the 3D platformer space, because it seems like on that level of like a Mario Odyssey or something like that.
Oh.
So
okay. You want to talk about the Black Ops Game Pass thing, Jed?
Yeah. My thoughts on that from earlier is I wonder how poorly Modern Warfare 3 did, or alternatively, how much money they think they're going to get from people doing either trials or signing up for subscriptions on the Game Pass and then forgetting that they did that.
Yeah.
And like maybe that's what they're banking on. I do know that there's still going to be like premium packs that you can buy. So like if you actually buy like the $100 version or whatever, you're going to get like for zombies, there's like the gumball thing again this time around. So you'll get like a pack of that and like cosmetic skins probably for Warzone and stuff like that. So if that's up your alley, you know, you go for that, or you just stick with the Game Pass, which is honestly like brilliant for me because I think I've forgotten that I keep paying for Game Pass. And
that's how they get you.
Yeah. And then I'll be able to play Black Ops 6 on release, which is cool.
Yeah, I mean, it just comes down to Microsoft still wanting to be a services-based company. So if they want to bring more people to the service.
Will support PC split screen co-op, though.
I mean, I feel like you get such a big payday when a new Call of Duty drops, right?
Right.
Because that's every frat boy in America shells out $70 for it.
Yep.
Right.
You know, even if they never play it again. Whereas with like Game Pass, you're banking on those same frat bros buying it and forgetting about it for 7 months. Because I think it's $10 a month. At least that's what it is on PC. I guess maybe it's different on Xbox. But like, and like maybe, right? They keep it for longer than 7 months. Great, you made more money off of them. But like, I feel like that's a big ask.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, they want you to not consider canceling it, is the thing. They want it to be like such a value that it's just like a thing you have forever.
I mean, I guess I don't know.
It's like always there. You know that whenever the next Call of Duty comes out, you just have access to it automatically.
Yeah. If they keep launching CODs on it, then that is more money that they're getting than the $70 for the one COD per year.
Because it's $10 right now, and 10 years from now, it'll be like 25.
Sure. yeah, that could be it. It's a sweet deal now, and then they're gonna ratchet up the price once everyone's in. I don't know. I can't speak. I feel like I'm so out of touch with like normal. Because me, I'm like, I buy Game Pass, and for that month, I play nothing but Game Pass, and then I cancel it. Like, as soon as they're like, we want more money, I'm like, get out of here.
People are
lazy.
lazy.
The 2 games I want. I mean, yeah,
and
true.
like, if enough frat boys that, you know, buy Call of Duty, go on a Game Pass, and they get to that 7-month period, and they think to themselves, oh, well, the next one's going to come out on Game Pass. That's 5 months of them still paying for Game Pass.
Yeah.
That there wasn't a COD. That's $50 more that they wouldn't have got, like Xbox wouldn't have gotten. Microsoft
that
wouldn't
is
have gotten.
true. I guess.
Unless they would have bought the $100 versions of Call of Duty, but they're like, oh, but Game Pass. So like, does it even out though? Like,
yeah, right. I mean, how many people keep it just 24/7? That's just where they play games now. Versus how many people pick it up, play Call of Duty for a month, and then drop it.
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea what those numbers look like.
I think you're also going to get a lot of people who don't buy Call of Duty for $70 who will pick up Game Pass to try it out.
Right.
It's possible.
So you would have lost out on those $10.
Sure.
But now you're getting it. I think there's a lot of mathematical equations we'd have to use to see if there's actual profit here. And I think they did it, and I think they think there's profit here.
Yeah.
Like,
we'll see.
I didn't buy Modern Warfare 3. Was that the last one?
Yeah.
I didn't buy that one.
Essentially the DLC for Modern Warfare 2, because there wasn't supposed to be this game out yet.
But for like $10, I would have played the campaign.
Sure, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which they're probably, with this Game Pass situation, going to make campaigns be like 2 hours. Because it's like, oh, you're only playing $10 for the campaign now? Here's your 2-hour campaign.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Well, I mean, you can still play Black Ops, though. You know, you can't play anymore soon. Redfall, which I know we're all really sad about.
Okay,
everyone's so sad.
It's the saddest news.
Realistically, could you actually play it?
Yeah, it's actually the opposite. They're making it so you can play it forever. It's gonna have an offline mode now.
Why on earth? Ooh, man. I like the optimism. Okay, strictly speaking, it's a good thing.
It is
if Redfall was a better game.
They released their final. They just
Oh,
released
boy.
their final big patch and announced this was the last update to it, and they're dropping support now.
Yeah.
So okay.
So they can shut
Because,
down
you know.
the
Meaning on Redfall aside, that is very sad.
Yes.
Poor Arcane Austin.
Yeah, man. They could have been working on Prey 2 this whole fucking time.
Yep.
Yeah.
But instead, we got Redfall. Thanks, I
Well.
hate it.
Hey, I wanted to dip into film real quick. I actually kind of skipped over it. I meant to talk about this, but I don't know if any of our group went and watched Furiosa.
I wanted to.
I don't think anyone watched Furiosa because they made $32 million over the 4-day weekend.
Wow.
More than I
That's-
made on the 4-day weekend.
True. But you didn't spend that much making it.
That's so
That is
unexpected.
Isn't that insane?
How much
This
did
movie
Furiosa
had
cost to make, you know?
$168 million budget. They made $32 million opening
That's
weekend.
why. Is it? It doesn't look that bad. It looks good. Like,
It
I'm
is
so
apparently
confused. Maybe people were just not around a theater on Memorial Day weekend.
90% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Wow.
Yeah, very well received. That's weird. I mean, I don't go to movies anymore. I don't know.
That's the thing. I really think we are starting to enter an era in which less people are going to the theaters. Unless it's something that's like, you will not get this experience, which actually I think Furiosa is probably one of those things where it's like, you will not get this experience outside of a theater. It was that way for Dune 2. It's that way for Oppenheimer. It's that way for anybody who's like, their visual, like their ability to visually storytell. You just cannot get that experience in a basement, no matter how cool of a viewing room you have, no matter how cool of an OLED TV you have. Like, unless you're in a theater, watching on IMAX, getting that whole surround sound experience, it's not ever going to be the same. This one kind of blows my mind though. $32 million for a 4-day weekend. Maybe we are
I'm surprised
it's
that poor.
Yeah. 36.5 million overseas. You know, 70 million total. That's poor.
Yeah, it's very bad.
But I wonder if it's because it's a female protagonist. You know, that's the whole thing in our society now. Is that
sure?
That's what they're gonna say. Like, that's the worst part. This is gonna be like, I can't have girls in movies. No one sees girl movies.
That's crazy.
Apparently the. Oh no, that doesn't make any sense. Anyway, 90% Rotten Tomato score. It did score very well. So I think less people are going to theaters, man.
Yeah,
I mean, it looks like the first movie wasn't actually like, you know, big in the box office.
Yeah.
Made 380. It spent 150.
That's bigger than
but
32.
I like those numbers.
It's a lot bigger than Furiosa sitting at currently, but
If we're talking numbers, and I don't know numbers very well, I like those numbers.
that's
Are they
not
just
opening
like-
weekend. But
Are they just like critic movies and like not mainstream movies?
I don't know. Like that's what. I don't know. I feel like that's more like Oppenheimer because it's like going to be like a slow thing.
Yeah.
Mad Max
that's what you
is
would
about
think.
people screaming in a desert.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Witness me. Silver paint on the teeth, you know?
Yeah, right. It feels like it'd be a crowd pleaser. Like I guess
Yeah.
Iron Man isn't in it or whatever, but I don't know.
Tony Stark?
Yeah.
Like Oppenheimer is like, it was only successful because of the director's name associated with it, right? I think if a different director made the
Killian.
exact same movie,
Can
Sure.
kill
it
you.
would not.
it
been
wouldn't
nearly
have
as
done.
big. Yeah.
Right.
Like Christopher Nolan is like
Peaky
broken
Blinders?
through
Mm-hmm.
Everybody love
to
Peaky Blinders.
just be a mainstream name.
Oppenheimer brought in $82.4 million opening weekend, and Dune Part 2 brought in $82.5 million opening weekend.
Dune wins. This proves that your
That was
popcorn
me.
bucket
Went
matters.
twice.
Oh my
I think.
gosh.
Went
When we
twice, watched it
see,
on the OLED, and I will say that Aaron is correct. It is just not the same viewing experience. It is
True.
so much better on the IMAX.
Especially because they don't release the larger aspect ratio formats
Mhm.
to home. Despite us having a larger aspect ratio television than 21:9, you know.
Mhm.
Meanwhile, Barbie, $155 million opening weekend. So,
Also me.
Heck
I
yeah.
went.
So movies based
What the
on
heck?
toys, good.
Mm-hmm.
That was
That's
Barbie.
the only
I
time
mean,
you can put a girl in a movie, is if it's a toy movie.
I think also when you're looking at Oppenheimer and Barbie, that was a phenomenon on TikTok where it was the Barbenheimer movement.
Barbenheimer.
It was
Mhm,
so
right.
like you don't have like a Furiosa X something on TikTok movement. Like
Mhm.
it
I mean,
maybe
it's-
would have done better if Barbie and Furiosa came out and it was the Furiosa Arby.
Love it. Why
Barbosa.
didn't I think of that?
Barbosa, yes.
Barbosa, yes.
That's good.
Everybody
That would
watches
be good.
Pirates of the Caribbean first and then goes.
I had to get there, but I got there.
All right, real quick before we get into some game stuff, Chad, let's talk a little bit about disc golf.
Yeah, so in my, what have you been playing? I don't really have a lot to play, so I decided to put this little stuff here, a little disc golf action. I texted Aaron yesterday actually about this. First of all, we've been disc golfing quite a bit lately, and I've been just like, I feel like I'm a little addicted to it. But I started looking up discs online because I've been curious as to what my discs should be doing, like how they should be flying, like
This is
et
when it
cetera, et
gets
cetera.
dangerous.
Yeah. I started looking up discs online, and I'm like, I have no idea what the terminologies are. Like, I thought I did. I thought I knew what stable was, unstable, overstable, except, nope, I don't. Because I look at some of these discs, and it's like, oh, yeah, this one's stable. But then the flight path doesn't line up with in my head what it should be. Also, then there's like Anheuser, Heiser, like all sort. It's just so much. And I just didn't expect a frisbee to like a disc just to have so much compacted into it, and there's like so many different versions and so many. It's crazy. There's like numbers that you have to look into. For instance, one of my discs is like 90 -22. I don't know what that means, but hey, I'm gonna throw it.
Yep. They need, so for regular golf, you can go to like fitting stores where you hit into a digital screen and it tracks your swing, and then they can give you like information on club head speed, angular trajectory, things like that, so they can give you the right club to fit your swing. They need that, except for disc golfers, where you walk up and you just huck a disc into a screen and it's like, your arm speed is a 7. It looks like you got a slight tilt on the front end of the throw, so we're gonna need something that drifts early left and then late right.
Yeah,
that's what.
All
I
right,
need.
Chad, I'll hook you up. I happen to be friends with a professional disc golfer, so
Oh
you know.
my gosh,
Wow.
really?
No
Yeah,
way.
I actually, I just looked him up. He's not like crazy, but he is ranked 976th best disc golfer in the United States. He's apparently won 9 different tournaments.
That's
nice. Statistics. So
that's so cool.
Wow.
Yeah, one of the things that I did realize, what my friend bought a disc when he was here, and it pretty much was like I added to my arsenal. That disc is called a distance driver, and it has a 14 on the front of the numbers. So that means that your arm speed has to be around a 14 for it to actually get the proper flight. I don't think I'm a 14 yet. I think because of my form and like there's actually like a form that you have to like try to figure out if you're gonna do backhand or forehand, which is very funny to listen to Aaron try to talk about backhand and forehand. For some reason, cannot grasp the concepts of either of those. Yeah. Anyways, I've dropped down to like a 9, and sometimes I go to a 6, and I feel like those throw better for me.
Bro, after watching those guys throw discs with us last weekend, we're both like an arm speed of like 5.
Oh yeah, it's bad.
They're whipping around.
There was this older gentleman. I was afraid for his life because the way he twisted his back, I just thought we were about to see him on the floor crying out like, I'm falling and I can't get up. This man was freaking sending them though, man. Sending them.
Good sport.
Golf's fun though.
Cheap sport, I will say. If you're like, you know what? I want something that I was going to say doesn't really burn a lot of calories, but depends on what course you're playing on, that's for sure. If you want something that's a cheap sport, though, that's also a nice activity, disc golf, very inexpensive. You don't pay for courses, typically. You can donate if you want. And go buying a disc, sure, you're going to buy a used disc for like $8 to $12. You only need 2, really. Get yourself a driver, get yourself a putter. Go play, there's probably like 60 courses in and around Kansas City, and most places have plenty of public parks where they just they put in the actual baskets so that people can play disc golf.
Honestly, I think that's even it could be even cheaper because a lot of pros will tell you to use putter for all everything. And once you can start throwing the putter the 300 feet, then that's when you switch over to a fairway, and then you switch over to a distance.
People can throw a putter 300 feet?
Their arm speed, man. I guess so. I don't know.
Holy crap.
Another thing is, you would think that disc golf is just let's go out and just stand on the cement area where you're about to throw from. Then you just walk over to your disc, pick it up, throw it. So it's very relaxed. You're fine. You're not sweating. And then you go to a course that we went to 2 weekends ago. And at the end of first of all, there's an app, really cool app, UDisc app, where you can start your game, and you can throw the disc, walk over to it, and then you can hit a button that tracks where you threw it. So it marks from the mound that you threw from, and then it'll draw a line and mark where you threw. And so that's how you kind of track the score instead of using memory. And I threw 4 or 5 times, which even with the app, we're I don't know how many times I threw that one. Yeah, so you go, you end that round though, and it tells you the distance you walked, how many steps, how many flights of stairs is the equivalent to what you did. And we did, I don't know if the app was kind of wonky. I want to go with the latter half where it said it was 50 flights because it seemed like it was 50 flights. It was a lot of hills, a lot of sweating. It was hot out. It was bad. I ran out of water. It was bad.
Good times. Good times. You know what it's time for?
WHYBPL?
WHYBPL. Hey, let's talk about some group games. People have been playing some. Let's talk about the one we've already talked a little bit about, which is Destiny. We're gonna move that to the front. That's most important.
Yeah.
Yeah, what'd you guys think of the final shape?
Yeah, so
weird that it turned out to be Kramer.
Yeah, absolutely insane.
Wild.
He came back to life. It was weird.
We've had some really fun, positive experiences with some raids lately, and some raid-like mechanics in a system called the Pantheon over the past 2 weeks or so. We've put in way too many hours in Destiny. But it's been a good time. We had Sam's brother Seth kind of Sherpa us through a couple raid encounters through one of the things called the Pantheon. I brought this up before, but it's a raid encounter is specifically set with like slightly difficult modifiers, and you do 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or however many of them there are for that week in a row, and you get specialty items from it. But man, I don't know about you guys, but I've had a blast. I feel like I am not a good Destiny 2 player. Pretty subpar.
Man,
but other than that, I've had a good time.
I feel like you sell yourself short there.
Seth was telling us how good we all are the whole time we were playing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, we cleared -5 Pantheon, and I think that's not something that the general community is. I think there's a statistic that says that we are in like probably the upper 5% because majority of Destiny players just don't raid, like at all.
That's true.
And so clearing raids, period, you're already in the elite of Destiny. And then after that, like, I don't know, you look at your damage, you're a Titan. Like you can't really judge that based off of like Hunter's damage, or if you get into that. And on top of that, you kind of just have to get used to an encounter. Like if we're dying off rip, like we just need to get used to it. You can't one-shot it. Like that's not how it's gonna work.
Yeah, it's less about that and more about I fail to fully grasp some core mechanics of build crafting in Destiny, and I think there's a point at which, unless you know the minutia, or you're gonna go like really in depth on some very specific build for your character, you basically have to go look things up. Because there's so many components and pieces and parts, and
you think so?
I don't know.
I feel like Destiny's build crafting so far is not that in depth. I think Prismatic's going to change that pretty.
I think there are some things in the build craft of Destiny that, on surface, feels like it's supposed to interact a certain way, but then you go and watch videos or you go and look at meta builds, and it doesn't actually interact that way. And so it does have a complexity to it that I enjoy looking at other people who are smarter than I and have more time on their hands, who do theory crafting, build crafting, and number runnings. I'll use their builds to kind of push myself forward, such as the Izanagi into my solar weapon into my Apex. Like, that's not something I created. Like, I followed somebody who was like, this is what I did for Pantheon all 4 weeks so far.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it doesn't have, there's no like numbers in the game. It's not going to tell you how much a damage increases it. Just gonna say it increases it. So you do have to look up that kind of stuff for sure.
Yeah.
I think build crafting is fairly extensive in Destiny just because like there's only a handful of like meta builds or whatever that pop up, but pretty much you can take any exotic in the game and try to like build around that exotic. And that enables like tons and tons of flexibility. I think if you just like a thing that exotic does, you could totally just lean into it.
Yeah,
push everything that direction.
But for raids, I feel like there's a balance too, right? Because you really need to be mechanically aligned with your team. So whatever you're build crafting into has to make sense for the overall mechanics of how you're going to go into an encounter. And so that component, I think, is the extra part that's like, you have to have an extra level of knowledge. You have to have an extra level of understanding of the game mechanics and how best to manipulate your characters to get them to the point where it's like, hey, we can clear this more effectively than just with these minor changes.
Yeah. When you look at the Pantheon -5, we beat everything in the platinum time.
Yeah.
If we weren't trying to do that, you could basically run in there with whatever build you want, and I think you could complete it.
Yeah, I think so.
You don't even have to be focused on damage. You could accomplish that.
Yeah.
Not in the platinum time, but you could absolutely do it.
Gotta get those special weapons. Anyway, all that to say, I think it's been really fun. I miss raids. They're good. That's good stuff.
Yeah, you should have played Rabbit and Steel with us.
Yeah, Rabbit and Steel. Let's talk about
transition.
Rabbit and Steel.
Thank you.
First and foremost, want to thank Jake for naming a character Poop.
We cannot change
because we
the
cannot
name.
change the name.
Yes.
We can't figure it out. There's a menu.
Someone is always
awesome.
Poop.
That's great.
There's literally a menu where you're supposed to be able to change the name, and we can't get it to work.
Yep.
I love that for
It's
you guys.
stuck.
I'm so jealous.
Gosh. So Rabbit and Steel is a kind of top-down 2D hack and slash, I would say.
Well, it's not top down, right? Side view.
I guess it is. I don't know. It's
like a shmup.
It's just 2D. I don't know how to describe it really, I guess. But it is a lot like a shmup, and every combat encounter is a boss encounter with a variety of very raid-like mechanics.
Oh, I've heard about this.
So a lot of things like you need to separate from all your teammates at the same time, or you all need to get into a circle in a specific part of the map, or it shows a laser that's going to shoot across the map and you got to get out of the path before it goes off. A lot of things like that. And it's also a roguelike. So you're running through fighting random bosses in different sections of the map and getting items to craft a build on the run. And man, the raid-like boss mechanics are so much fun. They're so chaotic. It's a blast.
I'm not sure this is actually true, but I think we kind of realized that in the beginning there's no little tiny circle on your character because everything's kind of relaxed and you know how to dodge, but then once it starts ramping up throughout the level when everything's going to crap, there's a little tiny circle that you can use to dodge everything. Like that's the only thing that is on
that's your hitbox.
Like, and so it made our run 1,000 times easier. I mean, it's still super difficult, but like
it is still difficult.
It was just so much easier to be looking at that little circle to dodge everything instead of your giant character to like fit into these small little crevices of like, holy crap, this screen is filled with everything right now.
Also got like DPS rotations essentially from like MMOs, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So like a lot of abilities will like feed into other abilities. Like your secondary will boost your special. So you want to do special or secondary into special or that kind of thing. Everybody has a defensive move. So like that's your get out of jail free card that you can use every once in a while. It all plays really well, I think.
They're also different classes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think there's 6 different classes. But up to 4-player co-op.
It's very Final Fantasy 14 if you've ever raided in that game, which I have not, but that is what everybody says about it. And Caitlin was calling out specific bosses and like mechanic styles, and she's like, "Oh, that's like this boss in Final Fantasy 14."
Yeah, I believe it was made by a guy who was super into Final Fantasy 14.
But you don't have to grind for like 300 hours before you do it.
Yeah,
you just hop in and raid
instantly.
It's literally the game that I'm always like, why hasn't anybody just tried to do the raid mechanic stuff from MMOs that's so popular, but like in an accessible, like just do that part and nothing else and make a game out of it.
It doesn't reach the Destiny level of puzzle to its mechanics, but
no orbs,
no blades.
Yeah, it's all pretty like readable on the fly.
Yeah, it even puts instructions over your head. It's like spread out. Or get in the circle.
Which now that you say that reminds me of like the mod for World of Warcraft that tells you what to do for the mechanics and raids.
Oh yeah.
That's just like a standard way a lot of MMOs work. Is it'll just announce like there's a death blast in this area. Watch out for that.
Weird.
Yeah.
Matt.
Destiny's pretty unique in that we'd like to do it blind and figure out the puzzle of the mechanic.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
That's the best part about raids.
Yeah. Whenever I like got close to raiding in other games, and I talked to Caitlin about it, she's like, no, you pretty much like, if the group is going to have you have to look up like the raid guide and install the mod that tells you the mechanics. And
I mean, getting 6 people to figure out a raid, a lot easier than getting a group of 20 or more.
Yeah. And also, if you have a group of 19, you're like, oh, we need one more, and one person shows up and doesn't know what the fuck they're doing.
That is true, yeah.
That person ain't going to be in your group anymore, you know?
I will say, if you're disappointed in hearing that on MMOs, and the raids basically being like, you already know the mechanics, I don't think anybody in this group would want to do an MMO raid and figure out the mechanics. I think that is a specific Destiny thing that like going into it, like for some, like I think that because of how Destiny is laid out, the mechanics are just really cool to unravel. While MMOs, there's just so much going on at one time that it would be near impossible to figure out yourself.
Like what happens when a new raid launches in an MMO?
Data
Like the
mine,
first-
I think,
the
and
first
people
few-
just. I think people just look at the data mine and they just look at the mechanics and they just it's all discussed already before even going into it.
It's wild.
Weird. That's so strange.
It's just a different beast. I mean, having 6 players try to figure something out and then spend the time and hours and trying to figure it out is way different than having like 20 people do that.
I am certain that people who play MMO raids look at Destiny, people who trying to figure out or how the raid mechanics work. They go, "What bunch of idiots! Why would you just look this up?" They probably think the opposite.
Yeah, because the whole point of the challenge behind, especially in like World of Warcraft and stuff like that, it's no longer the mechanics. It's just, can I do it?
Right.
And like the way Blizzard has been developing those is they already have in mind, okay, they're gonna have the boss add-on that's gonna tell them when to move, why they're moving, who has what on them, where to stand. So we're gonna make the raid specifically with the add-on in mind. So that it's just like, if you don't have it, you don't know what's going on, and you're going to die.
Yeah. Destiny is such a unique... Like, Destiny raids are so unique. There's nothing like it in video games. And I don't know why nobody's ripped it off, because it's so cool.
That being said, Raven Steel's sick. Play Raven Steel.
Yeah.
I think Final Fantasy is the closest to raid stuff that, like, you can actually kind of try to... Caitlyn doesn't use add-ons for the most part. I mean, I don't think there's really any add-ons for Final Fantasy, so
sure,
you can learn the raids that way. I mean, you and I tried to do with our group Guild Wars raid, and we just couldn't figure out the mechanics. We had to just once we figured out the mechanics, we still couldn't tackle them. Like
I think we could have eventually, like, if we had a group that was willing to do it, and also if we had a group that was generally skilled enough at the game to not instantly die.
What are you trying to say? What are you trying to say
there? Damn it! Is this going to be
not saying I'm good.
Once every 3 months you guys mentioned Destiny, and I go, maybe I try that again.
I mean,
this
would
now.
be the time to do it.
Yeah, expansion's about to happen.
Yeah,
also, you can get max level gear right now if you want.
Yeah,
for free. Yeah, just walk into an instance and grab it.
I think they're running some promotion where like all the expansions up till now were free for a limited time.
Free or cheap?
Does that include
I know
all
there's
the
a lot of sales.
dungeon keys and stuff?
I don't know about dungeon keys.
I would be surprised if it did.
Yeah.
But you can like access it for a limited time, so that means you could go through like the campaigns, I guess.
That'd be nice.
I have a buddy that picked up Witch Queen, and I was going to play through with him.
Well, none of the DLCs are on sale on Steam except for Lightfall plus Annual Pass.
You'd want to look at Legacy 2023 and the Lightfall plus Annual, because those two, it would be cheaper to buy the Legacy.
Yeah, the Legacy Collection's on sale for $12.
It'd be cheaper to buy that than Witch Queen. And you get Witch
off.
Queen, Beyond Light, and Shadowkeep.
I currently own... That would work out since I already own just Lightfall. That's the only DLC I own.
That's good.
Wow.
You poor man.
Mm-hmm. What a DLC to own.
Of all the campaigns to have.
So I could drop just $12 and get, what, is that just the rest of them?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yep.
They're playable at no cost until June 3rd right now. So if you download the free-to-play version, you can just do that content.
But that's only till June 12th.
Until June 3rd, yeah. Basically until the expansion launches, so like get people in.
I definitely have time to play Destiny.
I believe in you.
That being said, I am buying it right now. So
Nice.
A couple people played Across the Obelisk, the Obsidian Uprising too, correct?
Oh, yeah.
Jake, Caleb, and I played that. It's the newest expansion for Across the Obelisk. I will say we were going in a little bit concerned since it added a whole new kind of separate zone similar to the Wolf Wars, which was terrible.
Universally reviled.
Yeah, but this was crazy better. It was really good. So came with a new character to play as, which was the I forget his name right now, but he's basically a gunslinger guy.
Nicanil, I think, is his name.
Nicanil, I think
it's got a horrible name. Absolutely unpronounceable.
Pretty bad name, yeah.
But and then the way they did this zone, instead of like, oh, we're telling a story, go play these old characters, is you you go through a time portal and actually time travel back to when the thing happens. So you're still playing your characters, and you're getting, you know, items and card upgrades and stuff, and you get to keep those after you leave the zone instead of it just being an entire waste of time like Wolf Wars was.
Yeah, they learned from Wolf Wars, it seems, and actually used that.
There are a couple there's some new cards that come along with the new character. And they did something really cool in the new DLC, which was over the course of the DLC, you basically build your own pet companion that you can then take on your way out, where like over the course of it, you get 3 separate areas where you can choose like what upgrade or what ability you want to give the pet. And at the end of the DLC area, you craft him, and then you can choose to take him with you, which I thought was super cool because it lets you change things up every run, even if you're going through the same zone.
Mm-hmm. It's also worth noting they separated out the new zone DLC and the new character as separate DLC. So you can buy them. You can buy whichever one you want if you just want to play the new character and don't want the new zone.
I did not know you could buy them separate. But zone was really good. I'd recommend.
Yeah. A lot better than Wolf Wars.
Pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, it's nice because if you bring characters who canonically are supposed to be there, you just get extra dialogue, rather than Wolf Wars, which was like, these are the characters who are here, so you're playing them now, and it's going to have no bearing on anything else you do this run.
Yeah.
Very strange.
Yeah.
Is that a one person owns it, everybody can play it situation, or?
Yes.
Yes.
For the zone, yes. For the character, you have to own it to play the character.
Oh, okay.
Good point.
Yeah, worth mentioning.
Man, that game, just very good game. Yeah,
very good.
Continues to deliver.
I'm always surprised it hasn't blown up to be bigger than it is.
Yeah.
Like, in my opinion, it is a better version of Slay the Spire. I find it a lot more compelling.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I really like Across the Obelisk. I think the addition of classes and stuff, all the different characters, I think it gives it a lot more, gives it more legs, really.
It's also got just a lot more like actual roleplay gameplay going on.
Yeah, there's like, it feels like there's like a story. I mean,
yeah.
Across the Obelisk always just felt like an abstraction. Like, okay, here's an excuse to play with the fun mechanics.
Let's move on to individual games. Chad, what have you been playing lately?
Yeah, well, like I said, I didn't really play. Fortnite's always in the arsenal. Just, you know, always easy to go back to. They came out with a new season, though. So we're on Chapter 5, Season 3. And it is called Wrecked. That's with a W. It's a car season. They buff the cars to where cars have way more health. Lots of cars have like 1,500. There's some quote-unquote mythic cars that you can unlock with medallions, and those have 1,700. Those, at the very, very beginning of the season, which we're not even that far into the season, it's like not even a week and a half, something like that into the season. Those cars healed over time if it didn't take any damage. So basically, you just like drive away from the fight and let your car heal, go back into the fight. There's also they added some like a little dune deserty biome that has like cactus that you can run into, and it does the opposite of what you think it would do. It heals you. There's some like whatever fruit is growing on it explodes, and it's basically like the shield juice that you get. So yeah, there's if anybody has been paying attention to Fortnite, which you probably haven't been, and have been paying attention to the Twitter sphere around Fortnite, there's been a large complaint about the beginning of the season because they literally took a game where it was shooting and building, or if you're no builds, just shooting and positioning, and they changed it into literal Twisted Metal. Like, you had to have a car if you wanted to survive. Today was
happened during the Rocket League season.
Why did that not happen?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Seems like that should have been the plan.
Right? So yeah, it was just chaos. Everybody was in vehicles. Mythic vehicles were winning every single match. They've added a lot of interesting items. Like they have these Doomfist gauntlets that literally from Overwatch like seem like you just play like your Doomfist. You right click, you punch up in the air, you left click, you fly at people, which is really cool. They have Nitro that you can crush onto yourself, and now you can just like run through walls, which is interesting. Like the different strategies you can use with that. None of that was really accessible because the cars. You had to have a car, and that was the only gameplay. And it was really interesting because in solos play, you would have teamers that weren't intentionally teaming. It was just somebody was in the driver's seat, and then the like happened to have the other guy jump in the turret, and they started just going around killing people. Which is like quote unquote cheating if you've talked about, hey, let's do that together. But like it was just happenstance because it's just like it presented itself that way. They have since go ahead.
I was just going to say, I did see a clip of Ninja talking about how he was like, basically, we drop in, we don't even care about guns. You just find a car, and you hope that car is stronger than the other cars you're going to face off against for a while until you find a better car. And then you get in that car, and you drive around in that car for a while until you find a better car, and that's the loop.
Yep. Literally, the rule, like people are posting out. There's 3 rules to the season. 1, find a car. 2, don't get out of the car. 3, don't get out of the car. Like, if you got out of the car, you were dead. You'd get run over, your turrets would hit you, there's grenade launchers on top of the cars. So today they released a patch where boogie bombs were reintroduced, which if you throw a boogie bomb on the car, everybody like pops out of the vehicle and they start dancing. So it's like somewhat of a counter to cars. Another thing is they made it to where the mythic cars no longer heal over time, so they can't just drive away from you. Idea. And they have their same damage unless they find a healing station, have a blowtorch with them, or they run through cactuses, because for some reason the cactuses don't just heal the people in the car, they also heal the car.
Nice.
Of course.
But still, they also reduced the health of the cars, and I think they increased some weapons damage value to the cars. So essentially, Danny and Joe and I went from losing almost every match at the beginning of the season to today, we didn't lose a single match because it felt a little more like Fortnite. So it's kind of balanced out. There's some grumblings on the Twitterverse again where people are like, oh, the vocal minority won. When honestly, it wasn't the vocal minority. It was a majority of people. Even casuals were pretty upset about the changes. It just didn't feel like Fortnite anymore.
They should have let you build from within the vehicle, and then also let vehicles. You can build from within the vehicle.
Yeah. If you're in the passenger
drive
seat,
on?
you've always been able to build within the vehicle.
Oh, if you're in a passenger seat, so you take a good builder in your passenger seat.
Yep, and then you just crank 90s in a car.
Yes, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, no. So I would like to say that the changes they made, excellent. Actually, you can showcase a lot of the new fun weapons, items, etc. The cars, they feel like they're still usable, but they're in a better place to where they actually die now instead of just being twisted metal. I also wanted to say that I pointed this out at the beginning of the season. If we look back in history of Fortnite, we'd take a little documentary, visual down memory lane and look at how they would have treated this type of update back in the day. This would have been a limited time mode. Like they would have added they would have called it Wrecked. They would have had it inside, Fortnite as like an LTM where you can go in, you can play. It's twisted metal basically. You get some cars, perfect. It would have been fun. It would have been a blast. And like people who wanted to play that could go play that. But people who wanted to play Fortnite could go play the regular pubs, the ranked modes. Like that's how like chapter 1, chapter 2, even chapter 3 was handled. I don't know where they're going. I guess Donald Mustard, when he left, people were like, all right, we do whatever now, boys. But anyways, that's my Fortnite experience.
Nice.
Okay. Alex, how about you?
Yeah, I got 2 games I want to talk about. First one, Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice. Second one, Senua's Saga, Hellblade 2. First thing I want to talk about, why'd they name them like this?
Yeah, why did they swap
That's a good question.
Swap the naming there. That's weird.
I'm upset about it. I don't
At
like
least there's
it.
a 2 involved.
There is a 2
You
involved,
know?
but it'd be
Man, this
better if it
is-
was Hellblade Senua Saga.
This
As
is
a
like the
second game.
Star Wars TM, and then some don't have TM, some don't have Star Wars. Like,
Yeah, I played through both of these games. Finished both of them. They're both very short. Second one might
really?
be even shorter than the first one, really.
Hmm.
Second one's like 5 hours long.
Oh, well, really?
Yeah.
You're making me want to play them now.
Right? Pretty cool. Yeah. First game's first. I don't know if I really like. I don't know if I really like the first game very much.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. So both games are essentially walking simulators. Let me just tell you that now. There is some light puzzling going on. Very light puzzling. There is some light combat going on. Pretty light combat. Mostly a walking simulator.
Biggest parry window you've ever seen in your entire life. This guy about swing parry.
They tighten it up a lot in the second game.
Do they? Okay, that's good.
So the first game, I think, is very tedious. A lot of the puzzles require you to walk forever to get to the spot that you know you have to be able to do the thing. And then you hold the button, and then it slowly does the thing, and then you walk forever back to another spot that you know you have to be at. And it's like, it just takes a long time to get there. There's a design decision in these games that your regular walking speed is molasses. And so you basically play both games the entire time holding down the left bumper because that is your run button. And your run is still like a light jog, like not that fast. So I don't know why I can't just toggle that on and just let me move like that forever instead of having to hold this button the whole time. But that's a complaint I have. The combat in the first game also kind of tedious. Both games' combat systems are not that fleshed out. But the way combat works in the first game is like, a lot of times you'll be on 1v1, but then the farther you get into the game, they start throwing more and more enemies at you, and it's just kind of annoying. It's not really that difficult, but then you have to like keep on managing positions of all these enemies. The second game, 1v1 every single time. Much better decision. I also like the story in the second game better. The first game is very
bad,
artsy. I can like it's a story that is, I would say, important. And they're trying to explore like mental health and mental illness stuff. And they do a really cool job with that kind of stuff. Both games make extensive use of binaural audio. They tell you to wear headphones at the beginning of both games. And it is so cool, the stuff they do with that. But the general story in the first game, I just didn't connect with as much. Whereas the second game has like a bunch of characters and like the state of the world changes, and like there are events that happen and plot points and like factions. The first game is like Senua struggling with her mental health, and it is serious, but it is not, I guess, for me, maybe. So that on top of like the tediousness of a lot of what you do in that game, maybe not like it as much. I then thought I wasn't really going to like the second one, but it's on Game Pass, so I gave it a shot. And I actually really enjoyed the second game. Just in terms of technical prowess, it's insane what they've pulled off in this game in terms of like motion capture and facial animations and like expression and emotion on like people during like even like the heat of combat. It's crazy. Combat is so much more immersive. It is not great gameplay, I would say. It's still like you mash the attack button and occasionally parry things. But everything is incredibly scripted. So it's like almost like you're playing a lightly interactive movie. Like every time you kill somebody, it's like it's a cool animation that plays out, and then to pull the next enemy in, they have some elaborate scripted mocapped sequence that happens that pulls the next enemy in to attack you. Like it'll be like you stab a guy through the back of the neck, and then like one of your people that's fighting with you like slams into your shoulder and kind of knocks you over, and then there's another guy that like jabs a spear down at you because you landed next to him, and you roll out of the way of that, and then you get up and now you're fighting that guy. So I mean it's very immersive in that sense.
Sounds very cinematic.
Yeah. Just super cool. And the pacing of the second game I think is far better than the first game. Like there are so many sequences in the second game where they're just like, you know what, instead of being like tedious about this, we're gonna pull the camera out, fly over the landscape, progress time, we're gonna put you guys here at the next plot point, go explore the next story segment. Whereas the first game is like, there are so many parts where it's like, yeah, gotta walk super far with nothing really happening to do things. And I think it's funny because a lot of the negative reviews I see for the second game is like people being like, man, I love the first game, I vibed with it so well, and this one is just like a step back in a lot of ways, and I don't see it. I don't know. Technically, the combat is slightly more limited. There are a few less options to you, but I think it's better as a whole because of basically what they're trying to do, which is a walking simulator with some like light interactive pieces. This is like the first use of all of the Unreal Engine 5 technology in the second game. So like Nanite and Lumen and all this stuff that they keep on showing off in tech demos is all on display here. The entire world is like photogrammetry, and there's zero pop-in ever, and it's all like hyper detailed. There's so many times that the camera like zooms super far in on people's faces, and it's like it's just incredibly detailed. Every tiny little movement of like their face and skin has been reflected, eyes and everything. It's like the most realistic humans I think I've seen in video games. And actually I really like the story. They go a bit more like mythology and like Norse mythology, I guess you would say, and like fantasy style instead of just focusing on Senua. And her interacting with other characters. And also you still have like the psychosis stuff going on because they're still trying to do like the mental illness, mental health representation and like trying to show how dealing with psychosis would be in situations interacting with other humans. Really cool how they do that stuff with like binaural audio and all that. So actually really recommend the second game.
Man, I played maybe an hour of the first game so far. I did get to a pretty long, like tedious walking section where it's like, I know I can see where I gotta be.
Yeah.
Why do I gotta walk all the way around through those 3 doors? No, I don't. Okay. Anyway, I think even playing an hour of this, I think it was a good suggestion. I think Caleb said he thought I would like this game after I brought up Indica 2 weeks ago. So now, Alex, I think you need to go play Indica because a lot of what you've described I really like about Indica, and it kind of matches that vibe.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's legal in Maryland now.
You know, something I'm disappointed about. The first game has, it's not that much, but it has a little bit of FMV stuff in it, and it kind of reminded me of Alan Wake 2. They don't do any of that in the second game. I thought after Alan Wake, like maybe we would see some more crazy stuff like that, but it's probably been in development so long that they didn't get influenced by that. So
yeah.
But after doing it in the first game, I thought maybe they'd do it in the second one, but no.
Too bad. We're gonna skip me. I really haven't played anything. Ben.
Well, I haven't played a whole ton, but the ones I have been is Jake got me playing more Civ 6, so I've still been playing that. And I played some more Stardew Valley for the first time since the newest big update came out, which I thought was just a big update that allowed for up to 8 players and introduced a new map. But it turns out it actually also included a whole lot more like items and stuff in the game that are different. So been kind of fun playing back through a game that I've played a ton and just being like, oh, what's that? Well, I've done this a million times. What's this thing that I found here? And it's interesting. Breathes a bit more life back into it, and it's exciting. Kind of get the excitement of finding that new thing all over again and trying to figure out what it does and what it's worth and if I can craft with it.
Cool.
That's it.
Caleb?
I finished Persona 5 Royal.
Yeah.
Oh.
The answer to all of the grid
Yes.
questions.
No kidding.
It is still, I think, the highest rated game on Moby Games.
Is it really?
Wow.
I think number 1.
Wow, that's crazy. Okay.
So I looked up a
I'll-
bunch of the
I'll look.
differences
Not saying
between
it's
the
not
original
good,
game,
but the best game of all time.
right?
Mm,
Yeah.
no, you're good. Sorry.
I looked up the difference between Persona 5 and Persona 5 Royal. A lot of the gameplay mechanics, excellent additions. Really good. They make the game, just, I think, so much more fun. Not that I played the original, but I could see how they make the game so much more fun. The content they add after, and we've already talked about this, so it's slightly spoiled. After you kill God,
Mhm.
I'm
It's
not
a
a fan.
JRPG. It's not a spoiler to say you kill God. Everyone knows.
Yeah, true. It's true. The content after that, I'm really not a fan. I kind of wish I had just stopped after killing God because the rest of it was kind of just a downward slope.
That's too bad.
Yeah,
It's
And
a
it's-
really good ending is the problem. Like, I kind of figured they would push that back and put the new content there. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like, push back the part where you kill God so you still get to end with killing God, but just, you know,
Yeah.
your extra content goes right before that.
Is that
That
where
would
the
make
original
sense.
game ends? Is right after you
Oh,
kill
yeah.
God? Okay,
Mhm.
all right. Yeah, that's a
It
weird
wraps
decision.
everything up, like, perfectly, and then
Yeah.
awkwardly afterwards, they're just like, oh, maybe something else is happening, and it's like,
Yep.
I thought we were kind of done. But that's okay.
Yeah. So that, man, it's really good up to you kill God.
I'm curious what your final play time is.
Oh, uh-oh.
A lot.
A lot.
That's a lot.
It's got, I'm gonna guess 130.
that's-
143.
143, I undershot it.
Yeah, 143.
143 hours, man.
It's a
Good
long game. There's a lot of content in that game.
That's
man.
true.
A lot.
Crazy.
But, yeah. Alex and I got into the 33 Immortals playtest. We played a little bit of that over on Epic. Pretty cool game. It is a hack and slash roguelike game. And when you load into a new level, you load in with 32 other players. And you're all running around a shared world, killing enemies that are just spawning everywhere. And leveling up, grabbing money. And then after a certain number of enemies get killed on screen, it opens up these portal doors things.
Like challenge rooms, I guess.
Yeah. And up to 6 people can enter each individual door, and it opens up like 6 or 7 across the map. So you got to kind of race there and get in because it's a challenge room with a whole bunch of enemies and a boss, or maybe 2 bosses. And after you complete it, you get to open up a couple chests, which drop items to, further craft your build up a little bit. And then over time, as more and more of these are completed, eventually it spawns I forget what they call it, astral
Ascension
ascension
Challenge?
battle, I think maybe.
something.
And everybody who's still alive runs to this central point on the map and fights an enormous wave of enemies and a big old boss. And if you complete it, you ascend, and then you go to fight the final boss of the area. There's like a huge raid mechanic boss encounter. We got there once. To be fair, we only played like 5 or 6 runs, I think.
Yeah.
We got to the final boss once and died to a wipe mechanic because we didn't know the mechanics of the boss, obviously.
Yeah. Feels like since it's a roguelike, you're going to be doing that a bunch.
Yes.
And you eventually get to the point where hopefully the people you end up there with know what to do
yeah.
along with you. Because I feel like that could be a problem where you now know the mechanic, but the people that showed up there don't.
Very much so.
And then you just still lose.
Yeah, and the only way you can really interact with other people is emotes. So it's got kind of a, it's almost got a journey feel to it, where you're like buddying up with people and running around the map together. But it was pretty cool. I'd like to play more of it.
Yeah.
I was led to believe with the trailer or whatever that this is going to be even 33 friends. To hear that it is essentially matchmaking and only 3-player lobbies.
Yeah, parties of 3.
Honestly, really a turn off to me. I wanted to just have this as like at Extra Life stream, like we all just get together, like
yeah,
we can play it together. Hopefully, if when it's fully released, there are private modes that you can play.
Hopefully that is the case.
But maybe doubtful.
Yeah.
Maybe. I mean, maybe it's like you can go with multiple groups of 3 at some point. And it's because this is just the beta, so maybe they're trying to do matchmaking stuff and test that.
That could be, yeah.
Hopefully something like that happens.
Yeah. Lastly, I played this short little Metroidvania called Astronite. Pretty good. It's all monochromatic, so it's got a really cool atmosphere going on. But you're just a little guy who crash lands on a planet.
Guy
loses all his stuff, has to go find it again. It's pretty good. It's really hard a lot of the times because the gameplay is what's the word I want?
Good.
It's not like it's really heavy and slow. So you got to be really careful about your placement.
Deliberate.
Maybe
it's
not
a very
that far.
kind way to put it.
Yeah. It's not
lethargic. Is a meaner way to put it.
Is actually a very good description. I think.
Okay.
I'm watching the video on Steam, and I see what you're saying about it's heavy. Like it seems like as soon as you turn your jetpack off, you just drop like a rock.
Mm-hmm. And just the movement is not very quick and responsive, maybe. So there is some difficulty in that. I think if you don't get frustrated by that, the game's pretty fun. But I could see easily getting frustrated by that. I did in one section, but I powered through it. And it was fun.
A real gamer.
It just looks like a heavy gravity planet.
Yeah.
Really hard to get yourself away from the surface.
Or to move side to side.
Last but not least, Jake.
Woo, let's go. So I finally finished Alan Wake 2. I know everyone else finished it like ages ago, but I got to a point and I was like, oh yeah, I will be right back, Alan. You just stand right there. I will be right back. And then I didn't play it for months and months.
Yeah, I saw you playing on stream and I was like, he didn't finish that game? That's crazy.
That's what I said as soon as I joined the stream.
I got really close. I was right outside the movie theater. If that means anything to you guys, yes.
Yep.
So pretty close. It took me, I think I had 4 hours left, is what it ended up clocking from that stream. But I ended up really, really liking it. I just love how weird that game is. Just like it's not afraid to be completely insane. I love, can I say a spoiler? I think most of us have played it. Most of us who are going to play it have played it. I love that Sam Lake decided to make himself the ultimate bad guy. I think that is so inspired. I fucking love that. He's just like, I mean, I'm in the game, but like, I'm just like a side character. Nah, I'll be the final boss. That's fine. Like, yeah, get it, Sam. That's awesome. Just, oh man, I really liked it. It's frustrating a lot of the time. There was definitely, and I experienced this in my last play session. You gotta not go hunt for extra materials and stuff, because it's just gonna ambush you and cost you more than you get.
Yep.
Like literally, I walked by something and I was like, oh, yeah, I need like a code or a key or something or another to open this box. So I leave, I get what I need, I come back, I open it, get ambushed by like 5 guys, lose almost all my health, spend a bunch of ammo, and I'm like, well, that cost me, getting that ammo and health cost me 5 bullets.
Yep.
Like I lost a bunch of stuff doing that, so I might as well just run, just leave, just don't worry about it. So that, like, I guess it works because it's like, oh, it's a survival horror thing, resources should be scarce. But I should get rewarded for looking for resources, you know what I mean? Like, there was a point earlier in the game, I remember, I, like, went to get resources, I'm, like, trying to figure out the combination, because there's a lot of, like, puzzles to figure out the combinations of things, and I saw an enemy, and I just left. I was like, okay, I guess I'm not getting whatever's in that chest, I'm not dealing with this.
A lot of times it really wasn't worth it. I mean, you pop it open, it's like, oh, I got some bullets, and Oh, okay, cool, got it.
Right. Yeah, and if there's a single enemy, it's like, well, I need to use a ton. Enemies are very, very tough to kill, which is good unless you're trying to get resources. Then it's like, well, fuck it, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
I fairly early. So they do the thing where it's like you go through an area and you complete like the plot part, and then they'd be like, all right, now we opened up like 50% more of this area, go explore it. Or you can move on to the next plot point. And pretty early on, I was like, I'm just going to go to the next plot point. I'm not going to waste my time.
Smart.
Yeah, if you do that, though, you never go back. Because trying to go back to any point in that game is exhausting.
Dude, their running speed is so goddamn slow. Until they are 1 inch away from a door, then they hit Mach 10 and hit it like a freight train. It's so funny to me.
Every time.
It's like a light jog, and then boom! It's the loudest noise in the universe when they hit those doors. Oh, man.
Make sure to startle anybody in there.
Yeah, I guess. And it startles me half the time. I'm like, God, what the hell? What was that noise?
You're like, I was quote unquote running.
Yeah, right. I forgot this light jog is my run. Absolutely insane. But really cool. I really liked it. I looked up some differences. They added a New Game Plus. I wasn't gonna do New Game Plus. It was a cool game, but it wasn't that cool. And it adds a bunch of stuff to the ending. A bunch of stuff. It adds like a little bit that gives it a little more closure, because the original ending's a little open-ended, and this one kind of closed it out a little bit better. Which, I mean, I preferred the original ending a little bit. I liked the ambiguity. It felt more Alan Wakey. So the first game ends very like, yeah, what the hell happened? I don't know. So yeah, Alan Wake 2, cool game. The other thing I've been playing, I actually ended up playing a lot of this. I wasn't sure how much I would play. Epic gave away Dragon Age Inquisition for free like a week ago or something. So I picked that up. There's rumors that Dragon Age Dreadwolf, the next one's going to come out this year. So I was like, maybe, refresh my memory on the story, get back into Dragon Age. It's really fun. It's not a perfect game. I'm gonna hit it with like a compliment sandwich. I'll say something nice, then I'll get all my complaints out of the way, and then I'll end with nice stuff. I think the combat does a very good job of mixing tactical and action. That's always kind of been the tension. Well, not always been. The first game, Dragon Age Origins, is very tactical. There's really no action. It's real-time pausable, so you can basically queue up attacks, and it'll run in real time, but then you can pause it to put in new commands for your guys. The first one is super-duper tactical. It's basically a tactics game. You can zoom the camera way out to get kind of a top-down view of the battlefield. And it works really well there. Dragon Age 2, I think, decided it wanted to be an action game. And so that was kind of weird. They really leaned heavily into that. There was borderline no tactics in Dragon Age 2. And then Inquisition splits the difference a little bit. You can pause and line up your area of attack spells and queue up attacks for all of your guys. But it still feels very snappy and responsive when you're actually, like, in there mashing the attack button or whatever. So that's been really, really fun. I enjoy that. And also there's a decent amount of, like, sort of build crafting. Each character has, like, a specialization, which is really cool. Basically, there's 3 classes, and each class has 3 potential specializations. And the game just gives you 9 companions, 1 for each specialization.
That's
absolutely
nice.
Brilliant.
Cool.
You don't have the FOMO of, like, oh no, maybe that would have been cool. It's like, no, just bring that guy. Whatever. You want to be an assassin, but you didn't play one? Bring the assassin guy. He'll do it. Awesome. That's great.
It'd been nice if that was in Baldur's Gate, if they had a companion for each class.
Yeah.
I don't quite.
Yeah.
Just put all 12 on one character. I mean,
that's true. There's an achievement for it and everything.
You ready to play that Dragon Age Inquisition co-op?
Oh god, yeah, I always forget that there's multiplayer in Dragon Age Inquisition. I've never even opened it. I don't even know what it's like, honestly.
Real-time with pause co-op game, huh?
It must not have the pause, right? It must just be real-time.
Yeah, it must not.
God, that would be miserable. I can't even imagine.
Like, take a step and your friend just opens the menus, like, what?
Sorry. I gotta line up this AoE. Oh my god, yeah, dude, trying to line up AoEs with a mage without being able to pause? No, thank you.
Does that? I mean, I feel like that's already an issue in real time with pause because you line up an AOE, and then you unpause the game, and everybody runs out of it.
It's true. Yeah, it's not great. Speaking of things that aren't great, real time pausable. Listen, there are people who like real time pausable. I'm not one of them. Just give me turn based, because when it's real time pausable, I go to my mage and I'm like, okay, why don't you put your fireball over there? And I go to my tank and I'm like, okay, why don't you go pull aggro there? And I get to the archer, and the archer is just sticking his head in a despair demon's mouth. And I'm like, I had you in the right spot. I don't know why you walked over here. Like, just go back. I had you on like a safe spot. You had high ground. It was great. And you just left. I don't know what you're doing. And it's so frustrating to me having to deal with just the brain dead AI. I've been tweaking. They always give you like options to like set your AI's behavior, so I can be like, hey, always target the person the archer is shooting, or like make sure you always have 80% of your mana in reserve, so that way when I switch to you, you have enough mana to heal or whatever. Stuff like that, and it works okay. Yeah, it'd be nice if I could say to the archer, hey, if there's an enemy hitting you, leave. Walk away. Go next to the tank or something. I don't know. Just don't stand there and take a bunch of damage for no reason. My archer has been getting on my nerves. Is that coming across? I don't know.
I think, yeah.
I switched off of her. I got so sick of trying to micromanage her. Because Archer, it's not even like Archer is fun. You just stand still and shoot stuff, and then if an enemy comes to you, you die because you're an archer. Ugh. It's also, so this game, if I'm not mistaken, this is the first game BioWare made using the Frostbite engine. There was basically a decree from EA who said, hey, we have the Frostbite engine, stop using other engines, Frostbite engine's great. The problem is BioWare doesn't know how to use the Frostbite engine, or didn't when they made this game, and the Frostbite engine is built for first-person shooters, not third-person RPGs. So this game it's really janky, just like a lot of the time. There's tons of pop-in, which, like, I don't usually complain about stuff like that, so understand how distracting it is that I'm bringing it up here. Like, not so much in-game, but, like, a cutscene will, like, cut from one character to another, and then, like, shit will just be popping in behind them as the scene starts, and I'm like, you just, like, I don't know, do anything else. This sucks. And just, like, a few, like, weird things. Like, okay, I did, like, this story event, right? I advanced a little bit in the story, and we find the big bad guy, and we have, like, a big showdown, and he's like, oh, I hate you, and I'm gonna beat you up. And I'm like, okay, cool. Daring escape, whatever. And I get back, and the people at camp are like, oh my god, I can't believe he's a Tevinter mage who entered the Black Kingdom and sat on the throne. And I'm like, is he? A, you weren't there when I fought him. B, he didn't say that. So I don't know how you know that, but I guess that's how I'm gonna learn about it, is my companion saying a bunch of exposition to me. It was just so weird. I was like, I don't remember him saying that. Like, lucky for me, I know the Dragon Age lore well enough that when he said it, I was like, oh, okay, I understand what all those words mean. But in this game, this is the first time they'd mentioned any of that shit. Like, if this is your first experience, you don't know really what Darkspawn are, you don't know what the Black City is, you don't know this guy, and they just kind of, like, throw it in like, oh yeah, he talked about it, and it's like, I don't think he did. And, like, I don't know, I genuinely don't know if that is a bug, or if that was, like, a weird writing thing they did. Which, I mean, either way it's bad, right? Like, either it's a bug that has kind of ruined a plot point for me, or they just did a bad job. Yeah, so all of that being said, I think the Dragon Age world and characters are still really, really interesting. I love the lore of Dragon Age. I think it's really cool. Kind of the main focus point of this, which is one of the more interesting aspects of Dragon Age, is that there's basically a war between mages and these warriors who try to, like, control them. Because basically in setting, mages can get possessed by demons, all this shit. And so they're really tightly controlled. And so the mages finally rebel, and it's causing all this chaos, because, like, then they do get possessed by demons, and it's like, well, shit. Now there's no one there to, like, take care of that. It's a really cool setting, and the characters are always really well written and very well acted. Perhaps unsurprisingly.
Yeah, BioWare, man.
Yeah, right. I mean, this is basically the last good game they made. I mean, I guess really the only thing they made after this was Mass Effect Andromeda. Thank you.
Anthem. Hello.
Oh,
Yeah,
Anthem! You're right.
Good point. Good point,
Freaking
Alex.
Anthem.
I guess they did make the Mass Effect remasters. I don't know if that counts or not. They did a lot of work on Mass Effect 1 for that. I guess all this to say, I really hope Dragon Age Dreadwolf, the new one that's maybe coming out this year, man, I hope they knock it out of the park. I feel like they gotta.
I'm excited for it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like... I mean, I'm sure they know what's at stake.
It feels like make or break.
Yeah, right, like Anthem
BioWare
fell
will not be
apart.
around
Yeah, right.
if
and
this doesn't do well.
Yeah, especially with the current climate, where it's like, oh, we're just shutting studios down.
Yeah, will it be around if it does well?
That's the other thing, right? Maybe it won't even matter. Maybe they'll just shut it down anyways. I don't know. I hope we get at least one more good Dragon Age game. That's what I'll say.
Yeah.
That would be really nice.
All right, before we hop off here, Chad, Ben, have you thought about your category yet?
Oh. Sort of. I mean, the problem is I kind of want my category to be RPGs, but that's such a huge category that I feel like I gotta narrow it down.
Woof.
I know. I'm like trying to look up subcategories of RPGs.
Yeah, we got action RPG, CRPG,
Western
JRPG.
RPG.
Western RPG,
JRPG.
JRPG.
Caleb would win that one. Don't do JRPG.
I think I'm thinking Western
Yeah,
RPGs.
he's the JRPG guy now.
It basically was a JRPG category. I mean, Persona was in 3 of them.
It was a Persona.
And Yakuza.
And Yakuza, that's right. It wasn't even the
Sorry,
action
not
ones.
Yakuza. Like a Dragon.
Like a Dragon.
Boy.
Tactical RPG. Did we say that one?
Tactical RPG.
Tabletop RPG.
Ooh, good
Ooh,
one.
that would be a weird
Ooh.
one.
That would be a weird one.
But I mean,
Not going to be a lot of things in that
With
category.
2 JRPGs in the Moby Games database.
Gloomhaven.
Gloomhaven. Baldur's Gate 3.
I'm thinking I mean
Gate 3.
Western RPGs.
Pathfinder Kingmaker?
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Wrath of the
Wrath
Righteous?
of the Righteous.
Mhm.
There it is.
Baldur's Gate 1 and 2.
Look at
Yep.
guys. Come on, we're just
Neverwinter
giving these
Nights.
ideas away.
Neverwinter
many.
Nights, yeah. Chad, you got anything?
I have no idea.
Okay. All right, that's fine. We can let you think about it. Stew on it for a little while. I want it to be good. But not like don't come out with something so complex that it's like there's one game in that category.
Rubik's Cube likes.
Mm.
Voxel games.
Box
Does this
game.
mean puzzle games?
Wow.
Rubik's Cube
Man.
likes. I don't know.
Maybe. All right. Well, we'll be back in 2 weeks. Anything coming out between now and then that we need to be playing?
Yeah.
What?
Well, I guess it's already released for 5 hours
exactly.
today.
Oh, yeah.
It
The
was
Kramer
Final
him
Shape.
up.
That's right. Kramer him up. We'll be back
Nine
after we've
Souls came
played
out.
some.
Oh,
Oh, Nine Souls did come out.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that next time.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah. Okay. Well, thanks so much for joining us. We will catch you next time. See ya.